The motivation was superb. What we're trying to do today is to look where is the equipment in all this. Did we have the equipment that was necessary? Now, when we talk about equipment, we talked a bit about sophisticated, but there are things that come out by innovation of a country itself. The biggest innovation in this war was these water cannons. Now, you had the bar
It's a
left.
very simple idea.
Yes, but you have to get to it. You have to think of it. And don't think that you can have a water hose and break down the bar life line. The pumps that were made were designed by Egyptian engineers. They were produced in the Egyptian military factories. They were given very, very high power. They are not the one of a fire brigade. These hoses are not the one of a fire brigade that fights a fire on the second floor. They were made with very, very high pressure. So there was the design, there was the manufacture, there was the use of these cannons, there was the study where to aim the cannon so that the whole bar-left line collapses. And don't forget, the bar-left line is not only sand dunes. There are lots of trenches, lots of ramps, lots of different things. So also there was a system in the bar-left line which they could pull down fuel onto the surface of the canal and ignite it. So you must know, how are you going to cross? With what kind of crossing? You can cross with the soldiers and small bridges. So you, small bridge. Before that you must cross with boats. Boats, and they cannot be motor boats because the sound will reach the enemy. So you have to have enough equipment, have rubber boats with paddles and know where they're going, and enough of them. And also the rubber boats must be that if they're penetrated with a shell, they don't sink. We've got rubber boats where we're recording now at the yacht club, but any nail will sink it. But so these boats had compartments inside. So all this is Egyptian innovation.
So there was a lot of sophistication from what you're
Yes,
telling
course,
us, which is great that we all know about it.
Yes.
Let's move a little bit now to the future. What do you think is the future? Now we're moving on regarding the weapons production. What's the most recent weapon technology? If you can tell us a little bit about that
Yes.
now.
As times change and as the situation of wars change, I mean, the first wars against an enemy across from the Sinai were wars where you had to have very large pieces of equipment, you have to have very fast equipment, you had to tanks to roll over, you had the depth all over, you had the desert. Sinai is a desert. Sinai only has got passes where you can pass in the middle of it. So all these things need kinds of equipment. Now, if the war pattern changes, whether Egypt is attacked from the west or from the east, if Egypt is attacked from the west, then it needs certain kinds of protection, because the western desert, which is between us and Libya, needs a certain kind of protection. And during the Second World War, it was mines. So Egypt was defended against the Axis powers, the Germans at that time, by masses of mines. And these minefields are still a problem now of taking them out. Now, our coasts on the Red Sea were defended all this time when there was no direct war and there was a stalemate with mines. So the mine production, all the Red Sea, from Suez all the way down to even to Hurghada and even further, anywhere where the enemy could cross, had to have mines. All these, by the way, all these new cities and all these new resorts, they were, first of all, they were checked that there were no mines left from the war, because there are thousands of war. Like the mines in the Alamein and beyond, still now they explode. Here was another problem. The Suez Canal was also full of sea mines. Now all these things are things that you can produce yourself. So Egypt produces 5 or 6 different kinds of mines. A mine which if you step on it, it explodes. A mine which if you step doesn't explode, needs a tank to explode. Another one, if you touch it or you move something across. So all these are sophisticated. So the mines production industry is very innovative. And there are many, it's not giving away secrets, but many of the mines in the deserts are different from the mines that you'd put between France and Germany. So this is where the Egyptian innovation. So the cannons were innovation, the soldier arms were innovation, the tanks that are made here have deviations. Don't forget the tanks here are not going to run up in a forest like in Europe.
Right.
They're going to fight in the sand. So you must expect that they should be better maneuvering in the sand, better in the heat, better in the strong sun, different in color, which is, I mean, if you see, of course, the colors of our army are different from the colors of armies in Europe because they need the camouflaging. So all this, you cannot, it's very wrong to say we depend on arms from outside. Yes, the very sophisticated one. And I want to tell you that even Israel, when it buys an F-16 or buys anything from the United States, they have reached a stage where all the equipment itself, the aiming equipment, the navigation equipment, they are making it themselves. Because if you buy from some arm from a country, then everything is known. Your capacity is known, how fast you can fly is known, how fast the tank will go. You must do something yourself, that your arm is not an open book to the enemy.
Of course. Thank you very much, Dr. Engineer Youssif Mazhar. It was really great talking to you and telling us about the production of weapons in Egypt, and that we have our own production, because
Yes.
lots of people were always thinking that we just get our weapons from abroad and that Egypt on its own is not producing, which you've changed and
Yes,
you've
I think
explained a
that's
lot.
the message
Exactly.
that you certainly have got as interviewers and that we'd like the audience to have. I just want to make one remark before you close down.
Sure.
You might have somebody who say, what if there's no war? What happens to all these factories that are producing? And the answer is very simple. Egypt developed an idea, which was any factory can make a military production and can make a civilian production. So if you're making vehicles or jeeps or any vehicle war, you can also make it
Switch it to civilian.
to civilian. And then we have civilian production like refrigerators, like this. Some people say, oh, look at these sophisticated companies. Why are they making this trash? No, you must keep these busy.
Of course,
And
I mean,
if
because in
you make
times of
armored cars, you see them in the streets now, and they are the ones that are guarding the bridges now. They can be made for the army to fight. They can fight in the desert. They can be made for the city, and the police can take it and use it to defend vital things. So you must have this maneuverability.
to be able to work
To
in
be
both
able.
ways,
Very,
whether in war
Yes.
or no war. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you, Dr. Engineer Youssif Mazhar, United Nations industrial expert and photographer.
Thank you very much. Thank
And
you.
we'll go to a short break and we'll come back to you, so stay with us.
The hot spring of Uyun Musa is known for the therapeutic attributes, and tourists flock in to visit them. Yet few know that Uyun Musa was used as an Israeli stronghold during their occupation, building garrisons and barracks.
وخريطة لسينا متصورة.
Lieutenant Muhammad Sabir said they had satellite maps of Sinai hanging on the walls of the head office in the barracks. The Israelis were given the images by the American intelligence satellite. At the time, only the Americans had spy satellites.
Yet on October 1973, the Egyptian army was able to retake this strategic area. The Israeli army fled, leaving everything behind.
صدرت الأوامر بنسف.
We got the orders on the 9th of October, 1973, to attack and retake the orders. When the troops got here, they retook the area by attacking from above, despite the fact that the barracks were designed to withstand 1,000 pounds of explosives. When the army retook the barracks, they intended to use it to attack the enemy in the south. but we couldn't move the guns that were built to face Suez and Port Tawfiq. So the troops got the order to make the barracks completely defunct.
The fortress built by the Israelis are made up of 6 barracks made of reinforced steel and concrete. They were designed to withstand 1,000 pounds of explosive. Each garrison has a heavy-duty 155mm howitzer gun. Everything in the fortress has been left as the Israelis left them to preserve this part of history. Rehan Morsi reporting for Nile TV.